Yo, yo, how's everybody doing today? All right, let me get things just aligned here real quick and we can dive into it. Let people pile in here a little bit. Hope you all are doing good today. Texans win. All right, let's see. Get the comments up. Go ahead and drop a comment if you're in the chat. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know if you're blessing or stressing, baby. Get the IG to go live. All right. All right. So yeah, I finally, have gotten my schedule down, but I'm gonna be doing every Wednesday at 9 p.m. and then every Wednesday at 8 p.m. I'll be doing the AFC Roundtable, which I was just on. I'm not sure if you guys were able to tune into that, but shout out Chris was here. Hell yeah, on IG. Let's go, baby. We blessing. Colin on IG. Yo, we blessing. Yes, sir. It's coming off a victory. I know a lot of people, may have not felt the best about it, but I'll cover that. I definitely I was stressing during the game, but after I had time to digest the game, I'm actually really happy with the way it went. Shout out Texas Joey A on Instagram. What's good? ATX Aiden. Throw up those H's, baby. Cody Burnett. I appreciate Cody, man. You're awesome. He's on IG. We in here. We got Sean 7-4 heavy on IG. Who leading in yards next week receiving? I mean, it's tough not to go with Nico. I'll dive into that when we preview on the second half of the show the Vikings, but they do run a lot of zone, and we all know that Nico Collins is a zone killer. Trentstagram, that's my guy Trent Rios. G Dub, let's go. Appreciate you, bro. Texas made, throw those H's up. Yes, sir. We blessing. Jadon, we blessing, baby. Gavarian, we blessing. IG is going off. I appreciate you guys, but uh, Retreat to hell. We blessing on X. I appreciate you, brother. Rosari Kelly, that's on my day one guy right there on X. Bear defense like that though. Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. I'm about to dive into the Bears here, and I don't think people realize. I know a lot of people were frustrated with the offensive performance, but that is one major factor to consider. I think they're a top five defense. They got some dogs over there. Jason Perry on IG, throw those H's up, baby. We blessing. Chris, we'll see. Yeah, Justin got me worried, but hopefully Anderson and Hunter. Yeah, so I'll get into the Minnesota game after I review the Bears game. I'll kind of just do some comments here while the numbers pile up, so we can kind of get some analysis. But Chris said on IG he's worried. Hopefully Anderson and Hunter won't even allow a pass. Yeah, so I have an idea or what I think we should do against the Vikings with Jefferson. Obviously, is double him, and I'll go into detail as to how. Um, Seven for heavy. Keep up the great content, fire. Man, I really appreciate that, man. I know I kind of get worried because there's so much Texans content, and I'm posting all day, and I feel like I'm spamming you guys, but there's just so much good stuff. So I appreciate when I get that feedback. For me, like I only post stuff that I think is relevant and awesome to see, which this year there happens to be tons of it. So appreciate the love. Gerardo, H Town, that's right, baby. We up. Roxy 87. I'm in Minnesota. I work here. We have to win, or I won't hear the end of it. We have to clean up. Let me know if you're going to the game, Roxy. But I am confident we will get the dub. I hear that stadium is loud. The Vikings are much better than what we thought they'd be at this point, but I think we can still get the win. Like I said, I'll go over it. And San Francisco, I mean, they put up some numbers. They could have slash should have won that game. They had some turnovers and turnovers on downs. So let's see what else we got. Baraja, Bernardo on IG. When will Tank have a big game? I know a lot of people are asking about this and getting frustrated, but I asked to preach patience. Bobby Slowick has constantly said in press conferences, and I know it's like cliche coach talk, but a lot of these different skill players, their performance really is dependent upon how the defense treats them. So you just got to really try and keep that in mind. It's just kind of game to game, scheme dependent. But Tank, he had 4 targets last game, had the one big drop. I did notice no one talked about. I was in the stands for the game. He was pointing at his visor like he couldn't see, which obviously it's not an excuse, but um, Tank will get his Tank, and when he does, we'll know about it. Tank is an explosive player, We've been seeing, CJ find Nico a lot this year on the scramble drill for big plays, but usually that's Tank. And when Tank gets found by CJ on a scramble drill, it's like a 60-yard bomb. So it'll come. Jeremy Stamps on IG. Sting gonna get number 3. Yeah, I hope so. And I have an idea of how we should use him. I listened to Bill Belichick this past week several times, kind of talk about how he treats the number 1 receiver. So I think there's a good plan for that. But Sting, I know I tweeted at the game. I said, "What's up with Stingley?" It wasn't like I was hating on him, but some people took it the wrong way. But for Stingley, he's somebody who I think is an All-Pro player who had an All-Pro player type camp, and he had a slow start. That could just be various things. Not playing as much in the preseason, but the thing that I noticed during the game was his tackling early on. But obviously, he's a great player. He rebounded and make a pick. So I mean, I was by no means hating on him. So I think Sting will have a big game. Jason Perry never spamming. We stay blessing with the post. I appreciate that. I need that, so I'll make sure and keep it coming, brother. No Diddy. Um, Gozerian on X. Let's see what you got, brother. He said the Bears defense is definitely a monster. I agree, dude. Aaron Jones will fumble in crucial times. I need to look into that, but that sounds like at first instinct that Aaron Jones is notorious for that. And if that's the case, we could definitely use some of that on our end. Brandon Hallman, man, shout out Brandon. Brandon's on everybody's stream supporting all the Texans content creators, man. I appreciate you. He says Viking fans were trying to tell me Viking defense is better than Bears defense. Nah, man. I mean, they got some players. Don't get me wrong, but their scheme is. I almost want to say it's like a gimmick scheme. They kind of, and I'll touch on it a little bit with a couple little clips, but they do a lot of simulated pressures. So they really just confuse you more than anything. It's an unorthodox defense, I guess, is what you would say. But I mean, they got some players, man. Like Van Ginkel's very underrated. Blake Cashman, very underrated, having a hell of a year. Grenard's still solid. Um, I forget the guy's name. Pat Jones. Baldy did a breakdown on him. He's an underrated guy. But I'll go into. I don't want to do it all now, but their secondary is definitely an area of weakness, especially their safeties. They don't really have true cover safeties. They're all like kind of hybrid tweener guys. So I mean, I think we can hit a lot of deep balls over the middle. Rizar said I looked like Rob Deerdeck. Hey, I'll take that, brother. I got called Peyton Manning on a live stream not too long ago, so I'll take that. I guess it's maybe the big forehead or something. But I like Deerdeck. I'll take that one. Brandon says Viking injury list: Dallas Turner, Jay Jettis, Addison, Bradbury, O'Neal, Aaron Jones, Ivan Pace, and Van Ginkel. Yeah, so I mean, obviously we all saw our injury list today. I think a majority of them are just precautionary, but it sounds like it's the same with the Vikings. Majority of those probably precautionary, but I mean, those are some big names on there. Jay Jettis, he's fine. He had a quad contusion. He's gonna play. Basically, that means he just got hit in the leg and got a bruise. So I mean, he's fine. He'll be 100%. No, he won't be limited. Addison has an ankle, I believe. So I want to say he maybe didn't play last game. We'll check the box score, but that could be big if Addison is not playing or limited. But I will say Jalen Naylor, people were kind of laughing about, Vikings fans talk about him being good. Like he is solid and underrated and balled out last game. So we need to definitely key in on him as well. Um, but Ivan Pace is another great player. There's a wrinkle there I'll get with him and Mixon. And Rosari Kelly, Tank been affecting the game in other ways. Yeah, I agree. With those jet sweeps, I know people aren't a fan of it, but with the run game struggling last week, we kind of had to get creative. O'Connell is from the Shanahan tree too. Yep, yes sir. I'm gonna get into all that. There is a fun fact about Kevin O'Connell that people may not know. Nick Caserio was at the Patriots and drafted him in 2008. So drafted him and essentially coached him. So there's a connection there as well. But over on IG, when will Tank have a big game? Just got to be patient. Barajas Bernardo, I think I already discussed that. Yeah, I already talked about that. Blessan ATX09, appreciate you. We blessing big time. Jaden Wayne, fun facts. We have never beat the Vikings before. We got to change that. That's another crazy storyline. I agree. Our time's coming, man. I think we got it. J-Non HTX, G-Dub, Sci-Fall's finest, man. Tam, love the content, broski. Appreciate you, bro. Yep, Sci-Falls. That's my high school alma mater. Roxy says, I'll be at the game for sure. That's what's up, Roxy. If you get any cool footage, send it to me. I'll post it. Make sure and be loud for us. And make fun of that damn skull, whatever, I don't want to cuss, but, to me, it's cheesy. I guess it's kind of cool when they do it all together, but that stuff cracks me up. The skull clap. Next man up. That's right, Marcus. We got plenty of bodies. We're good. Swarm football. That's right. D'Amico preaches swarm. But Jeremy Stamps on IG. Sting was have a bad game up until that pick. I agree. He was. I mean, and I know a lot of people speculated, and I think it's true with he was playing off coverage, and so that kind of gets him out of his flow. But he just looked out of it like he was missing tackles like uncharacteristically. He's a good tackler and he's great in the run game. And I understand getting beat on routes here and there, especially against a receiver like DJ Moore. But I mean, he was, and again, it's to his standards. He's an all-pro player, and we're going to hold him to those standards. There's nothing wrong with that. But he ended up playing an all-pro game in the end, so we're all good. We need to find some more running backs. I don't know. What the deal's with that. My thoughts on Mixon is he's day to day. Chances of him playing 50-50. If he does play, there's also a 50-50 chance he's a decoy or a limited use. Pierce, I don't know where he's at, but we need him. Akers, that's a cool storyline. Akers looked good in the game against the Bears. He actually was moving the ball for us in the second half when run game was kind of stagnant and just had that fumble. Fumbles are tough. He got smacked on that. It's kind of, I don't know what you can do sometimes, but so that'll, worst case, Akers is going to be our RB1. And he's motivated to bounce back from last week, and he's also playing his old team. So I think if Akers is the guy, he'll be fine. We are dropping like flies. Log says, do you think Stroud has even reached close to his full potential this season? Not even close, bro. He's probably played 60% of up to his ability. Part of it's rust, getting back on track. Part of it is too every year this happens with the NFL and quarterbacks. Defenses start out with schemes and take away stuff, a lot of too high stuff. Takes quarterbacks a while to kind of, quarterbacks and coordinators, I should say, to kind of get their schemes rolling. They're definitely not like the Bears. I agree. They're not. Brock Purdy went crazy on them. He put up crazy numbers on them. But how clutch has Kaimi been? Kaimi's been so clutch, bro. And I feel bad. I haven't talked about it enough, but everyone else in general hasn't talked about it enough. Kaimi, we've taken him for granted. What is it? 6 field goals over 50 yards or something crazy, whatever the record is. Like, that is insane. Like, the fact that the end of that second half, it's already a 50-plus yard field goal. Have the dreaded Laramie Tunsil false start to push it back 5 yards, and then not even worry about him making it is insane. Like, a lot of kickers in that situation, that 5 yards and that false start would have killed the kick. I think Tank and Diggs have a big game this weekend. I agree, Marcus. There's another great storyline. Stephon Diggs, bro. Revenge game. I would think that we make it a plan to get him the ball early and often because it means a lot to him. So I'm excited for that. But I'm gonna answer a couple more and then we'll get into some recaps of the Bears game. Brandon talking about on YouTube about the injuries across their line, wide receivers if you won. Yeah, so he's making a good point saying injuries on both sides of the ball for both teams. And then Brandon said we haven't beaten Vikings when Hunter and Diggs were there. Yeah, so the 0-6, those are fun facts, but when it comes to today's game, it's meaningless. It's not like it's some mental block for our team, like, oh, we can't beat the Vikings. This is a completely different team. That's just a little fun fodder, in my opinion. Yeah, it's next man up mentality. Apparently, we need 17 centers, one for each game. The center position is my one big Stressan. Juice Scruggs showed how valuable he was when he started game one against Indy for us. I think it's no coincidence that the run game was excellent when Scruggs was in there. He's an agile center, which is vital in this zone scheme, someone who can get out in space. And then also, too, he's very valuable with his communication skills, too. Patterson's a solid backup, but I think Scruggs is better. But now Patterson's hurt, so maybe Kendrick Green might be taking snaps at center. Aaron Wilson has reported that Scruggs will start. If we have him there, we're good. Worst comes to worst, if Kendrick Green's there, you know, we saw the O lines that CJ played with last year. Worst comes to worst, we'll be okay, but obviously we'll prefer a certain O line over another. We're having an AFC Player of the Week every week. We got Kaimi, and then I don't know if Nico, if they voted on the air and ground, but he should be the best receiver of the week. He put up all those stats again. So, um, man, I'm trying to get to the recap, but we got a lot of comments. I appreciate that. Y'all keep sending comments. I like the interaction. It's definitely one game at a time, Marcus. We still have to get the win. We will have the better quarterback. That's a great point. I mean, when in the NFL, when it boils down to it, quarterback play, Stroud versus Darnold, I'll take Stroud 1,000 out of 1,000 times. I don't care about the rest of the situation. Diggs, Akers, Hunter going crazy. But yeah, this game is crazy. But let's do a quick recap. I know it's Wednesday, so it's kind of a little late on the recap. We've kind of gone over, but I'd still like to kind of give you guys my 2 cents on how things shook out. But let's get this going here real quick. And I'll try and get to the comments as I do it. I might delay a little bit once I get rolling here. But let's see here with the Bears. The Bears. Yeah, so I was at the game. I was impressed at how early and often fans got there. They made an emphasis on that, so that was encouraging to see. I will say there were a lot of Bears fans, and so I don't know if that's because a lot of people from Chicago moved here, or if that's just because the market, they're willing to pay more money. It's not any of our faults, but I thought the crowd was loud. I thought it wasn't as loud as the Browns playoff game. I was also at that game. I think a couple reasons why it wasn't as loud was there were more Bears fans than there were Brown fans. Maybe the roof, but really the biggest thing, in my opinion, was the game flow. The Browns playoff game was like a freaking party from the get-go. It was just big play after big play. It couldn't help but just be raucous. But this game was kind of like a sluggish, no momentum, kind of treading around. So it was kind of hard for the crowd to really get into it. But I mean, we did our part. We forced a lot of false starts in key situations. So I mean, shout out to fans. We did great. Marcus makes a great point about the fumble. I'll be covering that here in a second. And then let's see that retreat. I guess I can start showing some comments on here. My bad, fellas. I can't show the IG comments, but I can show the YouTube comments. But retreat says that I think Kendrick Green is better at center than Patterson. I think I tend to agree. There were some clips from the game there where Patterson kind of didn't have his best moments. I don't know if y'all saw the clip of where Joe Mixon was yelling at him. Joe Mixon had, at least a 10 to 12 yard gain, and Kendrick Jarrett Patterson's coming across and basically trips him. So you could tell Joe Mixon wasn't too happy about that. But yeah, let's just get into it. So we'll kind of start with just, I kind of like to start over team stats. Let's see here. Let's see if I can make this a little more pleasant for y'all to view. Let's try this. It's still not very. Okay, whatever. Go ahead and put it. No, that's not good. That'll work. Let's zoom in a little bit for you guys. No, over here. How's that? Okay. Team stats. So I mean, even and to me, in my opinion, I tweeted this out. And I said there's a reason why my name is Houston Stressans. This game was the epitome of all the games of 2023. We're the better team coming in. We have control of the game the entire game. I'm not dominating the box score, but we're winning the box score. And then somehow, some way, it comes down to the final minutes to potentially lose. So I was definitely stressing. But as we dive into it, I'll explain to her it isn't as bad as what we think it is. But in the box score here, the big thing that I see here for us is 4 of 14 on third downs. That's terrible. That's where everyone's, upset with the offense and performance. This is it right here. And that was because of various amount of reasons. A lot of it was just penalties. We had a lot of penalties that would bring back third down conversions or make it longer than what it needed to be. couple drop passes. The one with Tank was tough, potentially a touchdown. I did notice the drop that he had from being at the game. He was pointing at his visor afterwards, so maybe he was having difficulty seeing with the visor and the light. It's not an excuse, but it's something I noticed, wanted to point out. Cody Burnett says, curious when that injury happened to Patterson. He may have been playing banged up. Yeah, it's true, man. I mean, one thing that we have noticed though is with D'Amico, he's very Belichickian as far as being tight-lipped and not really giving you info. It's like these injuries appear out of nowhere. They kind of keep things pretty in-house. So who knows how it happened. Lake of O, go Texans. Appreciate you, bro. G Torres, throw those H's up. But yeah, back to the game. Pretty even on plays and first downs. The Bears also weren't great on third down conversions, but we did outgain them by 105 yards. So that right there tells me we dominated the game in that sense. Same amount of drives. We had more yards per play, obviously. More passing yards, 134 to 235. I'll go into the individual stats in a second. The defense balled the hell out. 7 sacks. We had given up 3 ourselves. We could have had another 2 or 3 more if Caleb Williams wasn't the slipperiest quarterback in the world. Lake of O on IG, we gonna be straight. They just trying to get the offense figured out. I agree, man. We're good, and I'll explain that here. I feel like the concerns are being overblown, to be honest. But in red zone, red zone was an issue last year. We were 1 of 2, so I mean, red zone wasn't that bad. And the one time that we didn't convert in the red zone was a Cam Akers fumble on the 1 or 2 yard line. I mean, it's obviously fumbles are bad, but I mean, it was kind of tough on him. And then also too, I don't know, I haven't really dove into it much. I saw there was a video saying that I think Woods was blocking and got his face mask pulled on that. There could have been a penalty. I mean, I will say the refs were absolutely terrible in this game. Terrible, terrible, terrible for both sides, but way more on our side. They made a lot of calls that really affected the game, in my opinion. I'm usually not one to try and harp on that, but like they definitely had a negative effect on the Texans this game. Brandon on YouTube says, I still think we draft another interior O lineman. That's first 4 rounds next year. Yeah, I mean, you can never have enough O linemen, man. I don't see how that's something we wouldn't do either myself. And they say, oh, I'm sure they will. Too many self-inflicted wounds. That's exactly the story of the game. Bears were reading our defense really well after a while. Reading our defense, I mean, we shut them down. I don't know. They were reading it good early. They adjusted well. But yeah, so just going through the box score here, another big one, 9 penalties for them for 60. We had 12 penalties for 115 yards. That's it. Third downs and penalties. That's the offensive struggle that everyone's worried about. The offense is fine. It's just stuff like that you can clean up. But we'll go to the box score. Caleb Williams, 51 passer rating. Welcome to the NFL, buddy. And to me, this was crazy to me how this was a primetime game. This isn't like, I'm a fan of having primetime games of the 2 best teams, not just a player versus a player, 2 players that aren't even playing against each other, 2 quarterbacks. I get it's the number one overall pick versus the previous year's number 2 overall pick. And they had to put this game early in the year in case the Bears stunk to make it, watchable. And it ended up being a good game, but there was no business having this game as a primetime game. And it was ridiculous. Their agenda was obvious from the jump. They were pushing the hell out of Caleb Williams, trying to automatically put him on this pedestal as a Pat Mahomes, CJ Stroud side, which he may be there, but I mean, like, come on, bro, like, pump the brakes. And it's so funny, too, to watch the narrative pre-Sunday Night Football and post-Sunday Night Football. Now it's, oh, his O-line sucks. He's going to need time, making excuses for him. And then also people come into the sentence saying, like, oh, he's not ready. It's like, yeah, we knew that, You guys just announced him the greatest thing ever without him proving anything. So, but you're talking about, oh, okay, Brandon. Yeah, their defense was reading our offense. Yeah, I mean, I think they were reading our offense, and I think they're just damn good. I think the Bears defense is a top 5 defense. Great front 7, awesome secondary, awesome linebackers. Really no weaknesses on the defense. He says their defense was reaching our offense, shutting down trick plays. Yeah, and then I'll get to it too. I think it was kind of just the approach coming top down from D'Amico, in my opinion. Yeah, Bears defense was good. Bears offense not good. Exactly. That's what Lake said on IG. Uh, Marcus says when everyone gets on the same page, watch out. Facts. I mean, we're 2-0, and we can still be a lot better. That's a scary sight, man. Very scary sight. Barajas asked why we didn't go for on 4th and 1. That's questionable, but to me, that's D'Amico being the defensive-minded head coach. And so that's what I'll get to is I understand the concerns on offense, but um, several things to consider. I covered the Cam Akers fumble. We're a Cam Akers fumble away from having a touchdown and putting up 26 on a top 5 Bears defense. 2, the Bears defense is really good. 3, the Bears defense saw what we did in the run game against the Colts, and they made it a top priority to shut it down, and they did. So once your run game is shut down, it kind of limits you. That's where you're seeing more of these quote unquote gadget runs with Tank or Steph trying to get creative in the run game. Um, I think the absence of Juice Scruggs was massive. Juice Scruggs is a vital part to our rushing success, like I alluded to earlier. So that was a big factor. Like I alluded to earlier, the penalties are a big factor. The third down conversion is a big factor. A couple drops here and there. So all those things considered, we scored 19 points. Should have been easily been 26 points. We're fine. You know, against a really good defense. And then another thing too, I want to note is early on in the game on defense, Caleb Williams on the first couple drives was having some success moving the ball. It's because we were running more zone. And then, D'Amico starts to introduce blitzes and he sees it works. Does it again, it works. Does it again, it works. Once he realized after that first quarter and a half that they couldn't handle the blitz, the bit, the blitz, he dialed that thing up. Like he did not let up. Like we pressured them at an insane rate. I forget all the stats and numbers, but like the stats of how often we blitzed him was like historically high, and the pressures we got. So there, you could tell there was a stark shift in the game when D'Amico realized, and they probably had the suspicion going in, but they realized that they could not stop the blitz, whether it's their O line, Caleb Williams being a young quarterback, not sure how to handle it. It's a mixture of the two, in my opinion. It's not just the O line; they were bad, but I think Caleb Williams had bad plays himself as well. But D'Amico was smart and finding a weakness and hammering it to the ground, and then he changed his plan going forward. He realized the only way the Texans could lose this game is if we just gave them free points via turnovers with risky play calls on offense or field position. So that's why he didn't go for that 4th and 1 on the field goal, where he could have been aggressive there. That's why in the second half we came out and the offense sputtered. We weren't throwing the ball across the field. And then also too, the Bears, it's hard to throw against them because they were stacking the box to stop the run, but they're a rare team like us where they have the secondary where they can run man like that and do that. They have the corners and safeties to cover guys long enough. So, but really, I think it's the conservative play calling, and I am not a believer that it's solely Slowick. I think it's a top-down approach from D'Amico, a defensive-minded head coach. This happened a lot last year as well. A lot of NFL coaches in general are super conservative. They don't want to take risks. And CJ is a smart quarterback and listens to that philosophy. That's part of what makes him so great, in my opinion. A very underrated characteristic for not only him but any NFL quarterback. All these other fans of Herbert, Harbaugh, and Trevor Lawrence and Will Levis talk about the arm strength and this and that. But those guys all lack one thing, which is discipline and common sense. They make the most stupid plays all the time. CJ doesn't. He understands field position. There were several times where we were in field goal range, and he could have tried to be Superman and make a crazy play for a first down, but instead he knew I can just chunk it or take a sack or whatever and stay in field goal range. And that stuff throughout the game matters. You keep points on the board. So that's something I feel like is very underrated. Um, Let me catch up on some comments here. See on YouTube, so many narratives about CJ. Yeah, we can talk about that. I mean, that whole thing pissed me off. That's whack. The stuff today with Florio and that Chicago Radio guy, those guys are freaking clowns. That stuff had me heated today, man. Uh, yeah, I had us being a 27-9 minus the Akers fumble. Yeah, I mean, you would have been spot on, bro. 81.6% was at the blitz rate. blitzing about 81% of the snaps. Yeah, so I mean that's D'Amico like figuring like, hey, if you can't stop it, I'm gonna keep doing it, and it worked. And again, the reason why this works is because our secondary is elite. We have Kamari Lassiter, Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie. I wouldn't really call him a nickel corner. He's basically a linebacker. But Eric Murray, in my opinion, is a safety who's very underrated. Jimmy Ward had a good game. But mostly our corners. I mean, Kamari and Stingley, you saw it. They call it rush and cover. It's, you do it collectively. You have your pass rush, and then the cover allows the pass rush to be aggressive because you can cover them one on one. And Caleb, after a while of getting hit so many times, made errant and flippant throws, just chunking it up. And then when the ball was in the air, our corners got elite ball skills. I mean, obviously Derek Stingley is probably the best ball skills in the league, but Kamari too, man, and he should have had 2 picks. That's the other thing too is I'd touch on the refs in this game is another factor why we didn't score more points and why it wasn't a blowout. The refs were atrocious. The holding call on Henry Toa over the middle on the pick on Kamari was the most ticky tack call I've seen. He barely had his hand on his hip. It happens every play. But yeah, so that's kind of why we were able to blitz like that. Is our secondary is so good. Murray's been showing up. People don't realize Murray was good last year, but he got hurt after like week 2 or week 3. He was solid. It's just he was out of sight, out of mind, in my opinion. Texans played methodical. It's great, not stressing. Facts. I mean, so a lot of fans were upset, but you know who was happy as hell with the win and how we won? D'Amico Ryans. The way we won was the way that he wants to win, with a dominant defense. We all saw those videos, highlight videos. People are saying with a bunch of crash outs. I mean, Petrie laying dudes out, Aziz laying dudes out, Will, laying dudes out, Hunter laying dudes out, Henry T was busting heads. I mean, we got a bunch of dogs on defense. I mean, if I'm an opposing offense, like I'm intimidated if I have to go up against that team. So D'Amico loved it. I know a lot of fans wanted points in offense, but D'Amico would love to win like this all day, every day. Uh, yeah, Murray's good, man. Last year would be leading us. Yeah, that's right. You got hoed. Will Akers' fumble affect playing? I don't think it will. I mean, with the injuries, we may be forced to have him be the starting running back. We may have no choice, but if anything, I think he'll play better. I mean, that the fumble wasn't like obviously no fumble is good, but it was kind of not really. You can't say it's not his fault, but it was a tough situation right there. Let me catch up on IG. Start Bullock. Yeah, I think at the very least, depending on teams, I would like to have Bullock in this game. Now that you say that, especially when we doubled Jefferson to be the high safety over Jefferson, we saw that big deep pass, the deep post route that he caught for 97 yards. If Bullock's out there, he can make a play on that ball. He's got the speed and the range. Uh, J Nan on Instagram says Petrie's the ultimate weapon on D, playing DB linebacker, and Miko's. So yeah, I was calling that. I mean, I've been saying that he's out of position. He is, and it's also a misnomer too. People got like hyper focused on him playing nickel, like, oh, he's gonna be covering guys. He's not a nickel. He's basically a linebacker. He's a linebacker slash safety. He's not a corner slash safety. And when we look at the defense, it's 3 linebackers. You got Aziz, Henry, and you got Petrie. And he's good at covering, short routes over the middle where he can get physical. But Petrie in that star role, it's kind of what Tyrann Mathieu does, which coincidentally is his favorite defensive back. Absolutely thrives. He's an X factor. Petrie is a dog. He is. I think Gruden. I don't know if y'all saw that video I shared. He said that he's a buzzsaw. That's a great way to describe him. He just comes flying in with no regard. And that hit he had on Komet was insane. Yeah, I can't wait for Christian Harris to come back. We were talking about that on the roundtable earlier. We got an interesting situation when Harris comes back with the emergence of Henry Toa and how well he has played. Do we kind of rotate guys in and out? Do we let Harris kind of take a while to get back? And then don't forget we have the Nico Autry coming back too. Cody Burnett says, I brought that up in the group chat that maybe Miko may be making Bobby call a certain type of game more conservative. I'd really like to know how much input Miko has on what happens on offense. I mean, I know I wasn't quite sure, Cody, but I'm convinced it's more a top-down approach from D'Amico. He calls the shots. He obviously isn't calling the offensive plays, but he can tell him like, "Hey, Bobby, dial it back." And us as fans can get frustrated, but in the end, if it yields us a win and is a smart thing to do, then it's the right thing to do. So I could still see it happening more. So unfortunately, we'll be stressing on some of these games, but some games, if we're able to pass the ball, then keep your foot on the gas. But it was hard against the Bears. And then there was a couple near picks too. So I mean, that definitely played a factor. You saw those plays and you're like, oh dang, we almost put them back in the game. Let's dial it back. So I mean, the way they handle the game, I have no problem with. Marcus says I would have put Brooks in on that 4th and 1 play. British Brooks. Yeah, I guess so. It wouldn't be bad. Lake Hevo, CJ Sim, no duh. Facts. Marcus, I say we just need to stop JJ and Aaron Jones. Yeah, I think the run game is good. Like we're gonna take care of that automatically. Are we blitzing like that again this week? It's week to week. Um, I would like to blitz, but we still need to be able to double Justin Jefferson and blitz. If we can find a way to accomplish that, then yes, I think getting pressure on Darnold would be the best way to handle that. Yeah, like I talked about the holding with the Toa Kamari should have 2 picks. Joe Mixon's day to day. Vikings defense. Yeah, see, looked like the repeat Jimmy Ward. Yes, I mean that's tough. I would like to have Bullock if we can. And that could be the case, depending on the Vikings offense if they're not much of a run team. But uh, man, I was trying to go through all this. I like just kind of shooting with you guys. Vikings defense this week will be a true test for our offense. It will be fun as long as Stroud does things. Yes, I agree, and I'll get to that. I got some thoughts on that to share with y'all. Darnold does well versus the blitz. He's good at quick dump offs constantly. Yeah, so I mean, you know, I guess we'll have to. It's one of those things in game where you kind of like D'Amico did, find what works and hammer it. So Sting versus Jet is gonna be epic. Yeah, that will be epic. But yeah, shout out Alex on IG. Let's go Houston Texans. But yes, I mean, and also too, fun fact: the leading rusher against the Texans the first 2 weeks have been their quarterback. Caleb Williams, leading rusher, 44 yards. Last week it was Anthony Richardson, 50 yards. And we've held them to, I think under 100 yards in each game. So we're one of the, I think we're averaging like 80 yards per game. We're like top 5 rushing defense. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I think the Bears game, I don't know if there's any more questions about the Bears game, but that was my thoughts was, in the moment I was stressing. But once I like quickly digested it, I thought it was a very impressive win. And it shows that we have a complete team that we can win several ways. We can air it out, or we can have a great run game against Indy and win it that way with big plays in the passing game, or we can have a game where we just lean on our defense. We're gonna have a game at some point where we just air it out and throw for 400 or 500 yards, something crazy, and beat you that way. So we can win in a multitude of ways, and that tells me that's the sign of a good team. So um, let's see if I had some other stuff on here. I feel like I had a. Yeah, we can go over PFF grades real quick. Let's see. It's not sharing the screen anymore. Present. Share screen. We'll go over the PFF real quick just to kind of give you an idea. And again, when we go over these PFF grades, I don't think it's the end all be all. I think it's a good reference. So take that with a grain of salt. If you watch the film or the game, you can kind of say, oh, okay, that makes sense. That didn't make sense. But we'll just take a quick glance. Nico Collins, a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, in my opinion. Again, was one of our highest graded players. Stroud had a good game. Watching the game, we thought he didn't have a great game, and he still graded well. I mean, that's incredible. Like, this is a good grade for PFF. Like, and as we've said, he's played 60-70% of like what he's actually capable of playing. So O line, I think some of the grades were not as good. Obviously, the run blocking wasn't as good, but we'll go to let's see, passing. Let me do this. Let's go to passing, pressure, and depth. This kind of gives you a breakdown. You can see Stroud, deep left, his rating was high. Over the middle, not so good. Deep middle, not so good. Intermediate middle of the field was great. Look at that. 113 rating, 85 rating right here. Middle of the field short was great. So I mean, he's pretty much good all around. And then down here is pretty cool. You can kind of see a breakdown. But when I looked at this earlier in the week, he was kept clean on. This is another thing too. Is I feel like the same as last week. I feel like there was an overreaction to our offensive line. Last week against Indy, 2 or 3 of the sacks that they had were from miscommunications. It wasn't because we weren't good enough. And I'll allude to that in the Minnesota game. That's a big key for us. Um, but yes, I mean, he was kept clean 70% of the time. It's pretty damn good against that defense. And so the same thing in this game, a couple of the pressures he's had were from miscommunications. Jarrett Patterson now being the center as opposed to Juice Scruggs is a big deal. The center is the centerpiece of the offense. They call all of the pass protections and basically tell everyone who to block essentially. And so that definitely probably played a factor there. And even then, it looked bad on the outside, but let's see what it was over here. It was the sacks. He got sacked 3 times. And a lot of times that's not terrible. And a couple of those were just miscommunications. And a lot of times that he flushed the pocket, he was just doing it on his own. He didn't necessarily have to do it, which is fine. He made plays doing that. But so that's a big thing to note there. But when I looked at the 2023 grades for CJ Stroud, I was surprised to see that his grades passing against the blitz were not this high. So to see him do this elite grade against the blitz is awesome to see. Very awesome to see. And we know what he is against zone. So I mean, this shows you he can do it all. His grade not blitz, not as high. So I don't know if a team blitzes you a lot, maybe you kind of get shell shocked and it kind of messes you up when they don't blitz. It kind of gets you guessing. But under pressure, his grade 86. That is insane, and that's him, in my opinion, showing off his scrambling ability, which he's top 3 scrambling quarterback in the league in terms of extending the play and still making passes downfield. Um, and then if you have breakdowns for this stuff here, that's all good. But let's go to receiving. Nico balled out. And then this was surprising. Tank kind of had a bad game, so I would expect him to have a bounce back game. Brevin is on IR. Hopefully, it's not season ending. I'm not quite sure how long he'll be out. Schultz didn't have a great receiving game. Hutch did okay. Diggs did okay. So that catch on the sideline by Diggs was nice. Let's see. Let's go to rushing. So Tank had 3 rushes for 16 yards. Didn't grade that well on them. Cam didn't grade that well, and Joe didn't grade that well. So I don't know. It's just the Bears defense or what. Blocking, that's what I want to see. Pass blocking. LT is consistent and solid. 90. You can always rely on LT, which is insane. I mean, to have a blindside tackle that you can just know he's not going to give up any. So the false starts are frustrating as hell, but I will take that all day in return for this week in and week out. And who's to know that maybe him getting those jumps, maybe he gets away with a couple and that allows him to do this good. I don't know, but obviously those are frustrating penalties. But this grade is awesome. Dare has been all year a very underrated and unspoken about pass blocking back. That is why he's in on third downs a lot because he is an elite pass protecting running back. Brevin. So the rest of the line didn't do terrible. It didn't do great. So this is Kenyon Green had a bad pass blocking grade in this one. They actually got him not great overall, which I thought he did okay on the film, and he had a great game in the first week against Indy. So that's where I don't really know if it matches up. But yeah, we'll go to run blocking. Xavier Hutchinson. So across the board, the blocking was bad. And when you listen to the interviews, they talked about their targets on running. So basically, you're supposed to get to certain spots, I believe, is the way it works. And I guess they just weren't disciplined on getting in the right areas. So I mean, across the board, it wasn't great. So we need to improve that. And I'm sure a good part of that was the Bears' run defense for sure. Defensively, we had some. This is awesome to see. Daniil Hunter balled out. Kamari Lassiter, absolute stud, highest graded rookie. You get a lot of love this week, deservedly so. Aziz had a breakout game, and then I'll touch on the sideline scuffle real quick. That whole thing. By the way, I was planning on going hour and 30. I might go for 2 hours. There's a lot to talk about, but sorry if I go too long, but a lot to cover. Anyways, Aziz Al Shire, he's a dog. After that Baltimore playoff game last year, getting beat by Roquan Smith over the middle, seeing the intimidating force that he was, trash talking, setting the tone, getting in people's faces. I walked away from that game. I was like, we don't have that. I was like, we need that tone setter on our team. And what did D'Amico do? He got that in Aziz Al Shire, and it showed in this game. He was setting the tone all game, and y'all saw it on the videos. But the sideline scuffle thing, that thing kind of pissed me off too. The interactions online. I mean, first off, Caleb Williams and a lot of these quarterbacks. I think the NFL has an issue with these quarterbacks baiting and trying to get late hit penalties on the sideline. If you're going towards the sideline and giving yourself up, I feel like you have to hit a certain speed and keep going. If you slow down at all and you get hit and you're around the sideline, in or out, to me that's on you. And honestly, if it's early in the game and it's not gonna be a big deal, I think you send the message like, hey, don't play that with us. Like if you're gonna like tiptoe on, I'm gonna hit you. Like either get out of bounds or don't. And then the hit that Aziz had with the scuffle happened, he was inbound. It was a legal hit, and then and it happens. He falls into the Bears sideline. They have him on the ground, supposedly, hitting him, kicking him, whatever, saying crazy stuff to him as he's sitting in the locker room after the game. And they don't realize that Aziz, he's like that. I mean, he grew up homeless. Like this guy's different. Like, and he said, like, when people say stuff to me, like I don't take it lightly. So he reacted accordingly. And I thought he was justified. Obviously, the punch is not condoned. But I mean, just in general, I'm glad the refs didn't throw a flag. There should have been a flag thrown. I mean, if there was, it should have been offsetting because the Bears instigated it for a clean hit. And if anything, the flag should be thrown on Caleb Williams for trying to bait him into a hit. Like there was another one where they were like complaining it should have been a late hit, but like he literally like stopped on the sideline. Like it's just ridiculous. And then the best part about it all was D'Amico's press conference the next day, showing the true players coach that he is and backing up his guy. I love to see that. And you could tell D'Amico was kind of having to like tone back how much he loved it. Like he didn't want to support, him doing crazy stuff, but like you could tell like he had a big smile on his face and that's what he wants to see. And basically it sends a message to the rest of the league like, hey, this Texans defense don't play. Like we don't care, about this and that. Like we're gonna let you know, like we're here to set the tone. If you try some stuff on us, we're not here for it. So that basically sent a message like don't play with us. I mean, I love that. And the people like I understand getting mad about the punch and potentially causing a suspension, but I mean, I think some people were too hard on it that way. But um, I would rather see that than not, honestly, than someone cower down. But that was good to see, in my opinion. And I believe I heard that you can't get suspended if there wasn't a flag, so maybe he only gets fined. But Forrest says let Petrie eat up those Darnold quick dump offs. Yeah, I mean if they're going to be doing RPOs or stuff in the flats, Petrie's going to be all over that. So will Henry T. So will Aziz. Let's see here. Who gets a bigger fine? Aziz? Yeah, no kidding. That's another BS call. I mean, that stalled a drive too right there. I mean, there was just so many bad calls in that game. Atrocious. Let me check IG real quick, see if we got any stuff going on. F around and find out. Miko said when you play, is she gonna get hit? Exactly, bro. I mean, that's the mindset. Like we don't. This isn't some soft stuff. This team is way nastier. Exactly. I mean, look at all the dogs we got on defense. I don't know if I already said this. There was another show, but obviously you got Aziz, you got Jalen Petrie, you got Henry's a dog too. I mean, Kamari's a dog. You got Jimmy Ward's a dog, dude, and then you got Hunter, Will. Mario's a dog, Foley's a dog, and then you got Danico, who's probably the most vicious guy out of all those. Casero called him a junkyard dog, and this defense is not playing, bro. Um, exactly. Delagram on Instagram. If you leave the pocket, it's on you. Better get out of bounds. Facts. I mean, could you imagine like complaining for your quarterback? Oh, you hit him. Like, well, get your ass out of bounds, bro. Like, what are we doing? Like, why is this even a debate? Our defense is top five, and offense hasn't even clicked yet. Exactly. I mean, we're 2-0, and we haven't even played near enough to our best ball, and we show we can win all kind of ways. So I mean, like, it's very encouraging. All dogs on defense, on special teams, dog mentality. That's facts. Telegram, dang right. Let's go. Says Marcus. Dog mentality. Yeah, man. I mean, D'Amico loves it. He loves it. Uh, but yeah, the grades are good. I mean, Petrie is thriving in the star role, like we talked about. Will had a good game. Stingley ended up having a good game, but when I told y'all I was saying what's up with Stingley on Twitter and asking, look at his grade on tackling. This is what I was talking about. He had a 24.3 grade tackling. That's terrible. Like there were some plays you were just like, bro, he just looked like he would just. And again, like this is not like a bad. I'm just saying, like I know I've seen what he can do. So like, what's going on? Like something up with him, but like, he covered good, but the tackling was the issue, and I'm sure he'll get that fixed up easy. Jimmy had a solid game, good bounce back game for Jimmy. I don't know what his coverage grade was, but he was used more heavily in the box. Eric Murray had a solid game. His tackling was bad, but Henry T had a great game. So let's go to run defense. Let's see. Can we go like there? Okay. Run defense. Henry T. And this is awesome too. This is somebody. A lot of players on this team have been getting a lot of flack. A lot of people have been impatient, but Henry T, his biggest thing last year, I know pass coverage and tackling. And then as a whole, our defense tackling has been an issue. Last year, I don't know the exact numbers, but we were a certain percentage missed tackle rate, bottom of the league last year, and now we're like top of the league, like top two, top three. So that tells me a couple things. The players have changed, uh, but we've also got guys more familiar with the scheme, and it's our coaching. Casero talked about it yesterday with Mark Vandermeer in their interview that specifically on Henry T, that he's improved his tackling from the drills that they do, like the specific techniques that they teach. So, I mean, this is a great thing to me. It's super encouraging as a Texans fan. We have elite coaching. In my opinion, NFL as a whole, just big picture, obviously quarterback's the most important position. But after that, in my opinion, every player in the NFL is good. I mean, you have Heisman Trophy winners in college who can't even make it in the NFL. So it's like the guys in the NFL, like almost every team roster wise, there's not a lot of disparity. So for me, the next edge is coaching, head coaching, and then across the board as far as developing players. And this is what D'Amico's done. Henry T, a sixth round pick, is playing like a second round pick this year in his second year because we developed him and coached him. Coaching matters. And so we need to keep that in mind with this team, with different players, especially younger guys. Give them time. Kenyon Green's another example. Jalen Petrie. I mean, Stingley struggled early on. I mean, you can go on and on. Nico Collins, he's a guy we developed as well. So keep that in mind, and that'll be exciting for the guys we drafted that aren't really doing much this year to kind of slowly start to make their presence known. But um, the coaching is insane, and Henry T's been a revelation. Aziz had a great game tackling Petrie down the board. But yeah, we'll wrap it up on the Bears. Yeah, so that was going to say too. Janon was, I think it was Landry Locker interviewed him in the locker room, and he said, "I'm not going to lie, I was a fat ass last year." So I think Henry T. I think there's three things that have played a difference into why he's gotten better: the weight loss, getting in better shape, the better tackling from coaching, and then when as far as the pass coverage, I think he struggled last year solely off assignment and alignment, meaning it was his first year in the D'Amico Ryan scheme, which is very hard. Aziz Al Shair even has mentioned that he could relate to that because he had his first year as a rookie in the same system and said it was very hard and was able to, mentor and tell Henry T about it and kind of help him with it. So that's another factor, Aziz helping him. But then the fact that, now it's year two. Henry T knows the defense. Now he can react. Before last year when he was getting beat, it was because he didn't know what he was doing. His head was spinning. So I mean, that's a big part of it. Delagram, Casario has good insight about development. Casario is incredible. I mean, I don't know a lot about any other GMs, but I think it's safe to say that you'd be hard pressed to find any other GM that knows more about football than Casario from A to Z. He even coached receivers. He coached Randy Moss. He was a receiver coach for the Patriots. Like the dude can do. He's not just like a numbers guy. Like he is a football guy. He is incredible. Um, oh, looks like I've been missing some comments on here. Let's see what we got. Aziz because he threw a punch. My brother Patton, what up, mailman? Y'all check out Texans on 3 and Patton. Those are my guys. They put out some good content. We Texan media complains nonstop about tons of false starts. Still always grades out. Facts. I mean, they're frustrating, but if you had to take one or the other, I'll take the rock solid left tackle play and false 5-yard penalties. I mean, they do end up costing you. They're frustrating, but still. Personally, I think hip drop tackle should be an auto 1-game suspension. Yeah, I mean, you can't make a rule and then not enforce it. That's just BS. Watt already said those jumps and timing are elite and why at times it's early. What are you referring to, Forrest? Watt already said those jumps and timing are elite and why at times it's early. Oh, you're talking about Tunsil. Yeah, I mean, everything in the NFL, like I referenced earlier, like everyone's great. And then I think the big separator from like good to elite players is these little details like this, whether you're a tackle. I mean, you see like Lane Johnson, he's an elite tackle. It's because his get off is second to none. Like he's maximizing every millisecond every time. And then the same could be said like with defensive backs. The ones that are really good are it's the mental part. They're able to pick up on tendencies from uh, takeaways from receivers when they're giving away a route or reading a quarterback's eyes, stuff like that. It's that next level stuff you have to look for every edge. And then really, I mean, the little things, CJ, I mean, he does stuff like Stafford does with the no look, the eye manipulation. It was even in this game where he'll kind of manipulate a safety looking this way and throw that way. So the little things are what really separates great from elite in the NFL, in my opinion. Green doesn't need to be helping Tunsil double someone just to leave. Exactly. Tunsil's got his own island. He's good. Uh, Texans were swarming with their D against the Bears. Aziz, facts, bunch of dogs, dude. Our defensive mindset. That Patton, I love it, dude. Like how awesome is it to have a defense that is like a bunch of enforcers? Like when worst comes to worst, if offense is having a bad game, we've shown that we can turn it over to them. I guess obviously the Bears' offense isn't the best, but still, it's good to see that regardless. Uh, like Aziz, yeah, he's a dog. Facts. The league shouldn't even fine zero. I agree, man. Like I said, like okay, well then fine all the players on the Bears too that started all that mess too. I mean, it was justified. Exactly, Pat. And we've been getting a lot of hate for sure. Uh, Good insight about development. Make sure we're all good. What up, Easy Shooting? I see you join on the IG. Prime D Hop or Prime Nico right now. People aren't like this. I'll take Nico right now, bro. I mean, D Hop was good, but he a lot of his stuff is like just making crazy catches. But like I feel like Nico's game is more consistent and reliable. Like he'll win with route running and beating you. But I mean, that's not to be taken as a slight on D Hop. D Hop, it's a close edge, but I would take Nico. I'm super high on Nico. I've been that way, and I will continue to be that way. I think he is a unicorn. Um, but yeah, enough on that, man. Let's get into let's see. Let's get into what am I even doing right now? All right, let's get into the Vikings. I didn't really show any film on the Texans Bears game. I guess if y'all have any clips, if anybody wants to see any plays, tell me. I got the All Pro I can pull up with the All 22. I haven't even looked at it. There's been so much damn content, dude. It's like every freaking 20 minutes or some like awesome clip I got to get out. I can't even watch the film. It's stressing me out. But I don't know why I got this one up. I'll move it to here. So let's look at the Vikings Let's see what the Vikings did last game. Easy shooting. How you feel about the Vikings matchup? I'm quite nervous. Yes, I'm about to get into it. I mean, I'm not. They're a good opponent, but I mean, I'm not as nervous as most others. Obviously, it's the NFL. Every team's good. We shouldn't overlook them, but I think we should, can, and will win this game. Delagram says, "There's much being said right now about Casario's hires and development analysis department. He seems to have insight and vision similar to Astrocism." I don't know, man. That's a great question. I haven't really heard much about that, but with the way he talks, you would have to assume that he's making some good hires. But uh, hold on, I think my headphone has died. Uh, can someone just confirm that you can hear me in the chat? Freaking AirPods died, so I had to go borrow my wife's. That's crazy. I'm pretty sure y'all can hear me. Someone just confirm in the chat. Uh, Mute is still nothing. Looks like you're having to go shorter. No, I'm gonna keep going. Y'all broke it. Hey, I'm back. Let's go. Yeah, so I basically wear these things all day in one of my ears because I'm posting media 24/7, so I don't want like my audio out loud. So I just wear these things out. That's my bad. And I got this damn microphone that works. but then I use my browser and it starts, of course, it messed up. So I'm getting better, guys. I'll get a better setup as we go. So let me just check to see if I missed any comments to shout out. QB Slack anytime he wants to. Facts. This stuff pisses me off. A bunch of dogs on defense. Facts. Tone setter and Aziz. Having depth like we do in this team. Henry Toa 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 Toa. Love that. I mean, we run a 4-2-5. We only need 2 linebackers, but now with the development of Harris, I mean, with Henry, we got a lot of depth at linebacker. The Miko effect, facts, great coaching goes a long way. Jamal Hill, I was going to say that retreat. So, I mean, when I talked about being patient, Jamal Hill, 6th-round pick. Henry T, 6th-round pick. But we have the luxury now of, like, taking our time with somebody like that. So a lot of those picks that we had later in the draft were kind of project picks. So those guys could pan out eventually. Yeah, Henry T's balling. Javi, shout out Javi. If y'all know Javi, he's a good content creator. Go check him out. Love the content, brother. Gus, I appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. Rocking back and forth isn't elite, though. It's talking about LT. Crazy how people were sleeping on Toto. I agree. I mean, I get it, but like my biggest thing is like just be patient. What do you think about Texans adding Patrick Peterson? I don't know why we would need Patrick Peterson. We don't need secondary help, corner specifically. Adding, I don't think it would be. Can't hear you. I'm back. And Forrest, you doubted me. Perseverance, bro. Neville could give us some plays for real. That's a good point. I forgot about Neville. Y'all broke it. We back. Appreciate you guys letting me know. Sticking through the bad showings there, the bad. Petrie is a linebacker. Facts, Cody. Let me I see Ultimate Fan. What's up, brother? Shout out Ultimate Fan on IG. He's been if y'all don't, y'all should check out his obviously his Instagram, but his YouTube. He's been putting out a lot of good content, and obviously Fan of the Year. We're lucky to have a guy like you repping the program. Appreciate you guys on IG sticking with me on the audio there. Let me see. I didn't miss any good comments from you guys. But yeah, so we'll get back into the Vikings. We'll just go through I was very encouraged to see the box score of this recent matchup. So this is really cool. I mean, this is a huge advantage for us, in my opinion. We get to watch the film on the 49ers, who run pretty much the exact same scheme as us against a team we're playing the week before. So we have the most recent tape you can ask for. And they did well. Like, we'll go through the box score here. They had 24 first downs to 17. 17 passing first downs. They lost the game because they were terrible on second down. They also lost the game because they had 2 turnovers, and they also had a couple turnover on downs. But let's see, rushing, they ran for 100 yards, so that's awesome for us to see. But on the flip side, the Vikings had a pretty balanced attack. This was a pretty not high scoring game. It could have been a high scoring game, but high yardage game. 250 and 146 passing and rushing yards. Vikings were very effective on third down. We just lowered that for them. But let's see. So I'll go to the box score. And this is like, I see this and my eyes light up right here. Brock Purdy was 28 of 36 for 319, and he was sacked 6 times. But the dude, let's see if I can make it bigger to show the rating, quarterback rating. Show the quarterback rating. His quarterback rating was 101, and Darnold was 109. So this might be the game where CJ throws the ball a lot, and we'll get into it too. I'll pull up this graphic here. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is right here. Let's share this. And so this was a chart. I don't know if you guys can really see this. I'll try and zoom in. This is basically every team's percentage of coverages ran so far this year. I'm not really doing a good job. It's kind of sticking. But anyways, the Vikings right here, their highest ran coverage is cover 4 at 27%. And cover 2 at 26%. That is a too high safety. And then their next highest is going to be cover 3 at 15%, which is a single high safety and supposed to be able to stop the run for a zone defense. And then their fourth highest at 11% is cover 6, which is a combination of cover 2 and cover 4, which is also a too high. So they run too high, 11 plus 27 plus 26. So that's 50, 60, 70, almost 70% of the time they have too high safeties. And CJ Stroud and Nico Collins kill that coverage, specifically cover 4. So this, but the big issue with this defense is going to be, let me see if I can pull up this clip here. I kind of got some stuff spaced out here, but the big issue is this is a Brian Flores defense. And what he likes to do is what they call simulated pressures. And simulated pressures doesn't necessarily mean that you're blitzing a lot. It's really similar to a zone blitz, which basically means you'll drop linemen back and then replace them with linebackers. And so it's almost a gimmick defense. Brian Flores is basically trying to confuse the heck out of the quarterback and the O-line as far as who to protect, and then maybe get a cheap free rush, essentially someone missing their assignment. And by the way, Instagram, just a heads up, it may cut off. Sometimes it cuts off after an hour. If it does, I'll get it back up. Just bear with me. But yeah, so he runs these simulated pressures. Let me see if I can just maximize this. I mean, that's not what I'm trying to do. There we go. There we go. There we go. So you can kind of see here, they got their 4 down. 1, 2, 3, or maybe it's a 3, 4. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Are you gonna get your hand on the ground? But you can just see like all these guys at the line of scrimmage, and you can see my internet is dog shit right here. You see that? That means it's dog shit. Let's see if we can get it to kick up. I really want this to work so we can just talk about it. But but what he does is he's gonna bring a bunch of people to the line of scrimmage and then bail a bunch out. But so like as the O-line though, you gotta like figure out in a split second who you're gonna get. And I don't know why. Let me refresh this. Maybe that'll help. But I'll answer some comments in the meantime. Vikings getting all the smoke. Dong Oys on IG says facts. They're about to get it, bro. No Diddy. Easy Shooting says, has the trauma of being a longtime Texans fan ever crept in the season, or is CJ cured any foreboding you may have? For me personally, I am over PTSD. I initially was like that leading up to this year. I was kind of like, oh, I'm setting myself up to be let down. But, I had to remind myself CJ Stroud's not Deshaun Watson or Matt Schaub, and D'Amico's not Bill O'Brien or Kubiak. This is a whole different regime. So I'm good, bro. I trust them 100%. But let's see what else on IG and more comments. They don't get to the ball like us. Facts. Their defense is a gimmick defense. They got players, but it's not a swarm defense. It's all like smoke and mirrors, in my opinion. And yeah, Della Grant says we could show them some new licks for sure. I mean, D'Amico is a dynamic coach. He's somebody that can, change, game to game, quarter to quarter. He's not afraid to change, but let me make sure and catch up on these. I don't think people realize how good our D line is. We just saw them at their best, and exactly. I mean, I thought you were saying O line, but yeah, our D line for sure. Colts O line was great, and we still do good. And then our game plan too. So we played 2 mobile quarterbacks in the first 2 games. So our game plans have kind of been different than what they will be the rest of the year. Like we were so focused in both those games against the Colts and Bears about containing, kind of getting the edge set and keeping them in the pocket, which was a great game plan, forcing those 2 quarterbacks to be pocket passers who aren't pocket passers. I thought it was great game plans. So yeah, now we have a pocket passer who we can actually go and attack. We don't have to worry about containing him. So we could see some vicious sacks, some vicious, strip sacks, turnovers, havoc caused by our D-line. That's a great point right there. You really don't think our secondary is thin right now? I don't think our secondary is thin. I mean, I guess with the injury to Okuda, yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I guess I just assumed when you said Peterson if he would be a starter. I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt to get depth, but it seems like D'Angelo Ross, who got activated as someone who they have faith in. He's in the system. He's familiar with the scheme. But I mean, I guess we could, probably add a depth piece. Wow, 8 out of 11 Packer stars are questionable. Pay them in a few weeks. Yeah, that's. I hope that Jordan Love is back for that game. It sounds like it. That's a good matchup. I've been looking forward to that game. Will this Viking games be this year's Bucks game? High scoring. It could be. I think we will score. We should be at 30 points or more on offense. I think we should. So it just depends on our defense. Uh, I think this is a take game. I was just thinking that, Cody, when I just pulled up that graphic with the breakdown of the coverages, them running cover three and then running cover two. I think Tank might be a good cover two option. He's pretty good at those hole shots, um, and I think you can probably get some curl routes as well from Tank. Those intermediate routes. This very well could be a Tank game. Is this shit playing on its own now? Let's see, Cashman and Grenard. Ooh, ooh. I sat with Ross at the Texans. That's awesome, Scott. He seems like a decent player, man. Shout out, Scott. Appreciate you, man. Javi Heat, Cashman and Grenard revenge game incoming. This is such a crazy game. Here, I have some notes on my phone. Let me go over all these storylines. Like normally in one of these games, you have like one or two cool storylines, but let's see what I had here. Show notes. You have, like Javi said, you have Grenard and Daniil Hunter um, switching roles, like a wife swap. We got the better deal on that. We got the trophy wife, but it's a revenge game for Daniil Hunter. It's a revenge game for Jonathan Grenard. It's a revenge game for Blake Cashman, who's playing great, by the way, so far this year. They also have Shaq Griffin on their team. That's a revenge game for him against us. It's a Stephon Diggs revenge game. Um, it's an Irv Smith revenge game if he's active. I don't know if he will be. It's a Cam Akers revenge game. Um, there was a tidbit I heard on the Vandermeer interview that I think I mentioned this earlier, but I'll say it again. Nick Caserio and the Patriots drafted Kevin O'Connell as a quarterback to the Patriots in, I believe, 2008 and was on their team for 2 to 3 years. So there's that weird dynamic there. There's also you also have the Shanahan scheme familiarity with KOC having been in the Rams, McVay, Shanahan tree. So there's those connections. There's a lot of like interesting storylines in this game. Irv Smith was with, I believe he had an overlap of 1 year with KOC. Maybe he can provide some insight for us to kind of give us a scouting report on those guys. And then I'll show my screen here too. I was going to show this later, but I'll show it now. You also have this here. You have the Joe Mixon and Ivan Pace. I'm not talking. Can y'all hear that audio? Ooh, it's probably dog crap. Oh, y'all probably saw this, but you had the Ivan Pace and Joe Mixon. I don't know if it's a revenge game, but hopefully Joe Mixon plays. But this clip isn't loading. But they were kind of bowing up to each other after a game. I believe it might have been last year. So I mean, they have this element to it. Like, there's so many storylines to this game. It's crazy. Mixon's letting them know, bro. Like, hey, that shit ain't gonna fly. Yeah, you better back off. Yeah, so Mixon's motivated, bro. I mean, there's just so many storylines to this game. It's awesome. It's absolutely incredible. Uh, yeah, Shaq Griffin and yeah. So this is probably Cody. This is my biggest. Like, I like to like look at like positional unit matchups. Texans best receiving core in the league versus a mediocre secondary. Gilmore's older. He's good, but I don't know where he's at. Shaq Griffin. I mean, he's solid. It's Shaq Griffin. I mean, he had some good snaps for us last year, but I mean, come on, he's not, Stingley or Lassiter. But and then their secondary, while they have good safeties like Harrison and I forget the other name, but they're not like the cover safeties. They're more of like a down the box aggressive type safety. So This could be a huge CJ Stroud passing game. This is probably the most underrated game of the week given the storyline. I agree 1,000%. I just ripped off those storylines. I feel like I missed a handful more. The fact that we're both 2-0. Texans have never beaten the Vikings, which is whatever. There's just all kind of stuff. Our offense and defense both go off in the same game. Exactly, dude. If we put together, and I've been saying, obviously you want to kind of envision like the perfect game, but the scenario that I want us to start winning in when things start clicking is offense comes out attacking early, passing the ball, get to a 10 to 14 point lead, and then now defense has an opposing offense that's on on the they're desperate, I guess is what I'm saying, where they start passing the ball and it's known passing situations. Now we can pin our ear back, start bringing pressure. Like that's the ideal, and you can start getting turnovers, and then you can go back on the other end on offense once you get this cushion and just run the ball and go to work there. That's the ideal recipe for me. But CJ gonna cook. Yeah, Cody, I was already kind of thinking this, looking at the stats that Brock Purdy put up with the same system, and Brock Purdy is not as good as CJ, obviously, in my opinion. And then talking about their coverages, talking about their safety or position players, I think we could put up a lot of points. Mixon and Pace both injured. Yeah, Mixon, that'll be interesting if he'll play. Take over another trap. Facts, we're doing it, Warner. Stroud would be fooled by Viking smoke and mirrors or secondary won't cook. Yeah, Stroud is smart, but I guess I'll bring this point up. My big concern with the Flores smoke and mirrors simulated pressure is going to be the O line. I already walked into another team stadium, beat them this year. Facts. Easy shooting on IG says Steelers and Browns come to mind as let's see, CJ does 10. What do they come mind to as what? As teams that CJ tends to do really well against teams with the. Okay, easy shooting says CJ tends to do really well against teams with a vicious pass rush but a weak secondary. Steelers and Browns come to mind. That is true. Yeah, and then because we have LT who can basically eliminate your best edge rusher. He'll shut down Myles Garrett. He'll shut down TJ Watt. And I don't know that the Vikings have a vicious pass rush. They got they got some good edge rushers, but Telegram asks who ran a simulated D against CJ last year. I don't know. I've been meaning to look into that. But yeah, so I was pointing out that the simulated pressures. Let's see if this video wants to start working now. Okay, it looks like it might start working. One more try to refresh, and if not, we'll just. I think you guys get the idea of what it is. But initially you hear simulated pressure, like, oh, they're gonna blitz. It's not necessarily like as you showed in the graph up there. I think they only run man like 11% of the time. But yeah, look, I mean they'll drop guys out. So I mean, you're telling me like as long as we pick up those simulated pressures, and if they replace a linebacker with a D lineman, and now you have a D lineman covering a hook curl flat area as opposed to a linebacker, like watch right here. Okay, but on this one, sometimes the linebackers will go in and pop out. But the issue with this is if they do bring pressure early and you start to get to CJ and he gets worried, then he thinks, oh, they're blitzing again. Then they basically like okie dokie, like so they'll blitz, and then now you're thinking, oh, they're blitzing, I'm gonna throw hot, and then the guy jumps out and picks it. So that is an issue right there. So you could see something like that. I hope not, but you could see kind of like one of these defenders going to the line, bailing out, and then CJ thinking that they're not there, and they kind of surprise them. But I mean, this right here, it looks like it got to Purdy on that play. He kind of, and then you know what? There's several other ways. Just from what I'm thinking right now, I need to dig in deeper, like the formal ways to beat these pressures. But I thought Purdy, he should have. I was gonna say is what CJ's doing is extending the play, scrambling out. Like he's gonna eat with that, bro. Like so, okay, you have a simulated pressure. He's gonna roll out, extend the play, and now you have, a linebacker or a D lineman on Tate Dell. I mean, come on, bro. Yeah, so the underneath stuff could eat in this too. If they do all these little funky little things right here, and then CJ extends the play, this one, let's see what happened. Trent Williams got, yeah, so this is a stunt right here. But yeah, so we can beat this stuff with, scrambling, running game. You got all this BS going on. Just run the ball right up their throats. I mean, we run zone scheme for the most part, but like, run the ball is a way to counter, or run screens. I mean, tight end screens, halfback screens, um, or you just pick it up and then you got easy zone coverage. So, but to me, the biggest key in the game on offense is communication with the O line, picking up who needs to get who. And I heard Juice Scruggs was going to play from Aaron Wilson, but I'm seeing he's injured, obviously. And then now I'm seeing that Jarrett Patterson's injured and that Kendrick Green could be in the mix at center. But I'm really hoping it's Juice Scruggs because the center is the most important piece to get the protection done. And the center in this Shanahan zone scheme is very vital as far as getting out in space and kind of being like that anchor point, that initial block. But specifically to pass pro, Juice Scruggs is very vital in that role too, to communicate who does what. But then the other factor too is this place is loud. I mean, we struggled week 1 in Indy with that noise. A couple of the sacks we gave up were likely because of the crowd noise, and likely because of that we couldn't get the correct assignments, and then guys are just coming scot-free. So there could be a couple of those. So mitigating that and being as on it as you can be with communicating your assignments is critical. That's my biggest key on offense. But let's just go back and yes, I'm sorry, I see it. They ran a stunt right here. That's pretty slick, dude. Y'all see that? Look at 51. Is that Cashman? Look at this by Cashman. He runs. He like runs into the side of Trent Williams and then just bounces this way to Purdy. This is nasty. And then you have the loop around right here. Whoop! Look at that. What? I don't know. That's crazy. Whose fault is that? I mean, that's on the right. That's on the left guard for sure. Like, I don't know what he's doing. But this is the confusion. He's like, I don't know who to get. Oh, he's going here. He's in a loop. You got to be on it, bro. Uh, TJ23Y on ID says the 2 tight ends are the best way to open what defense for the long ball. Yeah, we could see a lot of 12 personnel. Or I'm sorry, 1 running back, 2 tight. Yeah, it's 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends. De La Graham on IG says CJ will thrash D lineman. There's no way they'll run CJ too smart, make them a few drive, but he's too smart for sure. Yeah, so basically it's a chess game, and we know CJ is good at chess game. Easy shooting. Don't sleep on their pass rush, man. 49ers had Trent Williams and Puffy got sacked 6 times. Purdy. No, I agree. I was saying that too. Like, I was kind of getting roasted for. I posted a clip of Trent Williams getting beat. So I mean, they have Van Ginkel is very underrated. They have I can play the Casario breakdown if y'all want. It's a 3-minute deal if y'all haven't watched it. Van Ginkel. They got Grenard. They got Pat Jones is a guy who's very underrated. Cashman, basically, as a pass rusher, is crazy, and as a pass coverage guy. I mean, I agree that they're no slouch, but I mean, I just wouldn't put them up there with like Cleveland and Pittsburgh, but they're still good. They send in 5 exactly. So I mean, you think that they're sending 6, 7 guys, but you can account for 5, and then especially if you bring in tight ends. And if you have a running back chipping, you can account so you can have double teams and whatnot. So, I mean, if they're only sending 5, it's just, just not making any mental errors. So we just got to be on it. Let's see over here. Like I said, did I miss any comments on here? D'Amico and Slowick already saw how Vikings counter that 49 system. D'Amico and Slowick already also saw how Vikings counter that 49 system. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. I mean, just this tape alone, like, this is another storyline is we run the Niners offense and we have tape on it right now. Look at that. I mean, how many did they bring right here? I don't know the down and distance, obviously, but I mean, if you're going to bring 3 guys, you're only bringing 3 right here? What the fuck? What? Bro. Oh. Are you adjusting this shit? What just happened? Watch Purdy right here. Did he just lose the ball? Bro, what? That is so bad. Oh my god. Do y'all not think that's hilarious? Look at Purdy. How did I not see this? The dude just, yeah, they just gave. Okay, hold on. This is also a turnover. I haven't really been paying attention. I've been reading comments. Oh, that's the all 22 angle, or the end zone angle. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm tripping. It's been a long day, guys. Look at this by Purdy. He goes back and throws it, and the ball just falls 3 yards in front of him, right to a D lineman. I mean, yeah, the Niners should have easily won this game. I'm not concerned. Look at that. That's crazy. But yeah, let me I'm gonna try to see if y'all can hear the audio on. Oh, that's not what I was trying to look at. Let me see if I can find. We do have this. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on this, but this Adam Rank guy, we usually do pretty good when he picks against us. So, well, Adam Stink, more like it, huh? We already saw that one. That one. Yeah, let me pull up my. I want to find the Casario one. Play that. It's the scouting report just to go over the personnel. Coaching matters. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna
drafted Turner in the first round. So
can someone tell me how that audio is?
Is a very unique kind of hybrid player who does a lot of things well. Who's really a perfect fit for their defense.
Can y'all hear Casario talking right now?
Players on defense. He had 13
Someone just help me out real quick.
He's fast. He's instinctive. And then the other linebacker, Ivan Pace, who wasn't drafted, he plays with his hair.
Can y'all hear Casario? Anybody?
On the edge.
What up, dude?
They're good at linebacker. Harrison Phillips, who they just extended, gives them a good presence in the middle of the defense. They have some other guys they roll through.
Should I stop playing it?
Rotillery in there. And really where they've been forced to make a number of changes on the perimeter.
You want me to, okay, I'll leave it alone.
Unfortunately, some mitigating circumstances. Lost a corner, Jackson, over the summer. Then they had another injury take place. So they signed Steph Gilmore, who has familiarity with Flo's system. They signed Shaq Griffin in free agency, who was here in Houston last year. So big, long corners. And then they kind of have a 3-for-2 system at safety. And they're all kind of hybrids. I mean, Harrison Smith, he's at the line of scrimmage, then he's in the deep part of the field. Josh Metellus is a safety, but he's a linebacker. Cam Bynum is a former corner. Now he's playing safety. So they just have a collection of players that are very versatile and very adaptable. And Flo puts them in a position where they can put stress on the offense. So they've done a good job in these first 2 games, no question about it.
What's Sam on offense? How is Sam and what's that offense look like? And how is it different maybe with Sam than maybe been with JJ?
Yeah, so I mean, everything this organization starts with KOC. Kevin does a great job. I mean, Quasey have done a really good job of kind of putting this
KOC is awesome, man. He's a great coach.
Dealt with a lot of adversity and a lot of challenges, and JJ was getting a lot of snaps there in the preseason. I think they felt Sam was probably going to play at some point, but Sam has played really good football, and I think the benefit for Sam is he can play through the lens of a quarterback through Kevin, right? Kevin has a good feel for what it's like to play quarterback because he played quarterback. So I would say very sound system, very efficient. Sam is, he's drafted 3 overall for a reason. He's a good athlete. He's got a good arm. He's smart. He's done a good job of executing their system. So he's played well. Kevin's put him in a position. I mean, anytime you have an opportunity to throw to the best receiver in the league, like you're going to take advantage of that. You know, he goes 97 the other day. He's behind the defense. Everybody knows he's going to get the ball, but you still can't cover it. So Sam's played well for them. They signed Aaron Jones, and I've seen between him and Chandler, they kind of have a good 1-2 punch there. So they can run the ball, they can throw it. They have a real solid offensive line. Extended Darrisaw in the offseason. O'Neal extended him a few years ago. Booking tackles, Bradbury, Ingram, Brendel. So, and then complimenting JJ, the guy that's kind of stood out in training camp is Naylor, who wasn't very highly drafted or thought of, but he's kind of emerged.
I agree, man. People are kind of crapping on Naylor, but that dude is solid. I thought he was awesome out of Michigan State. I'm surprised it's taken him this long, and he wears a weird jersey. I think he's like 83, but look out for Naylor, dude. He's solid.
Addison's been in and out, but they put a lot of stress on the defense with the number of skill players that they have, and Kevin has a good feel and sense of how to call a football game, and there's a reason that they're 2-0, and then you combine that with they're one of the better teams in the kicking game to this point, so there's a reason they're 2-0, which is why it's a pretty significant challenge here that we're going to see here on Sunday.
You mentioned.
Yes, I mean, I love those Caserio breakdowns. I don't know if y'all want me to go back to the first part or not, if y'all heard it all, but a dude knows ball. I mean, he scouts literally anyone and everyone and follows them from draft all the way through their careers. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, they got players. And then to my point earlier about the NFL, all the players being good, the biggest difference, in my opinion, is coaching outside of quarterback. They have a damn good coach, man. I mean, I thought, they're going to be trash this year. They got Darnold and then maybe McCarthy, rookie quarterback. But, it's amazing what good coaching can do. And then last year they spent a majority of the year doing the same thing with Kirk Cousins out. So, like, O'Connell has had experience trying to win games without a star quarterback. But it should be a good matchup. But Taylor Grant says I could listen to Caserio half the day. Me too, man. It's so funny. I mean, in these interviews, Harris will ask him like a simple question, and he'll just go. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all. Are there any more questions about it? I mean, let me shout out my boy Dew. What up, Dr. Dew? If y'all don't follow Dr. Dew, he's obviously on YouTube, but Instagram and TikTok. I feel bad. I promised him I would do. I don't know if y'all see what he does, but he does like these Dew chugs. He's a freaking savage. He'll get like a freaking, I don't know how many ounces, like damn near 60-ounce mug, and he'll put a full Mountain Dew, another full Mountain Dew, and he'll put a beer in there and he'll chug it, or a Monster. But I told him I would do a chug with him after the Indy game. I just been busy, but I'm gonna make a chug happen with Dew. Maybe we'll live stream it. I'll have to do a mini version. I can't. I'm just a little puny guy. I can't handle the chugs that he does. But y'all should check him out, man. He's hilarious. There he is. When you want to collab, it's gonna happen soon, bro. We'll make it happen. I'm crazy at drinking. Y'all go check out Dr. Dew, man. He's the goat. But Forrest says I don't remember a GM having this vocal about how in tune involved with these players. Exactly. He's incredible. Was there anything I missed that y'all thought I should bring up or anything like that? I think I pretty much covered everything I had. I do have some exciting news. I'm building a website. It should be ready by this week. I think it'll be pretty cool. Like my initial thoughts is I'll have a store with more shirts, and I'll get y'all's feedback if y'all ever have any ideas on things you want to be shirts. I can make anything. Just let me know, and maybe hats and stuff like that. But also on the website, like one of my big goals is like all these videos I'm sharing is to kind of aggregate them into one place. So if y'all ever like forget something or just want to go check out stuff, I can import like Texans. I can have a tab that's like press conferences and have all the press conferences. Like I have a tab that's interviews. It could be all the interviews, and then try to have it sorted by players too. If you want to watch CJ Stroud interviews, look it up and boom, they're all right there. Basically what I'm doing on X, but more organized and in one spot. And then I'm gonna try to start doing a newsletter, basically kind of like what I did here, twice a week. A recap of the previous game and then a preview of the next game, and I'll still have the show. But something like that can be more in depth and show more of like these all 22 clips and more graphics and just something you can just digest a different way. So my whole goal in all this is like I'm just obsessed with the Texans. I guess you could say I'm addicted to the Texans. I'm addicted to football, to the NFL, and then the Texans in that order, or I guess the reverse order. But so all I'm doing is just content that I already consume regardless. I just share with you guys, and I share what I think is pertinent or what I think is interesting that you guys might like. But like my goal in doing this is to be like a one-stop shop for y'all. I know everyone's busy and there's a lot of shows and clips and it's kind of hard to go find it all. But like you can, if there's anything at this point, I'm sure I can tell if there's anything Texans worthy, it's going to be on my page. So that kind of like a suck it. I didn't mean to do that, but yeah, suck it. Vikings, suck it, Vikings. But yeah, I'm gonna get that website up. Y'all be on the lookout. I appreciate all of y'all. I mean, I think the thing I've enjoyed the most about doing this since I started in December, and this was never my intention. It's just been a naturally organic thing. Like it's just grown, and I just love it. Is meeting you guys, interacting with you guys. Y'all are all awesome. I've made a lot of new friends, but I really do think that we're gonna have a special season this year and for many more years to come. And I'm just trying to soak up every bit of it because we deserve it. I mean, I'm sure y'all are the same way. We've been through some hard times, so these power rankings are coming out. We're getting ranked number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. It's like shit, man. Like enjoy every bit of article. Like we deserve this stuff. But yeah, man, that's all I got. Let me check up more comments. Deli Gray, I appreciate you, man. I can count on you to push out good insight and good highlights. Yeah, and I really appreciate you guys, Deli Graham, you commenting. I know y'all are busy, but like it makes it more of an interactive show, and that's kind of my approach. Is like I'm one of y'all. We're all the same. We're just all sharing our opinions. DCTF83 Pierce or Akers. I'll have to go Akers. But I'd like to see what Pierce can do. He's still kind of a question mark to me, but yeah, let's see if there's anything else. For real, yes sir. We'll be undefeated this year, dude. So we'll be 6-0 for sure, in my opinion. I think. Take your time, get up and get it going. Be there. All right, and then let me just check one more time. Yeah, we deserve this, bro. We deserve this. So I said, so yeah, I didn't even talk about this. Okay, just let me pull up one video. And it's actually, I got it on my phone, so let me send it to my Google Drive. So on defense, the key to offense is O-line communication, in my opinion. The key on defense, in my opinion, is eliminating Justin Jefferson. Like obviously, we saw that big bomb they had. That cannot happen. We need to completely take him out of the game. Do whatever we can to do that. Let me see if this is Okay, cool. Here's the video. I'm going to send it to my computer real quick. Bill Belichick, the GOAT. It's going to be 1 second. I feel like this is very interesting. And I'm going to post it too, but I want y'all to listen to this to explain to what I think we should do on defense to contain Justin Jefferson. We should double team him, and then we should double team the number 2 receiver, which if Addison is out, that is huge. That means we can double Jefferson, and I would prefer to have Kalen Bullock be the safety over the top. And then you have Stingley follow the number 3 receiver. So, but I'll let Belichick explain it to you guys because it's kind of contrary to like the initial thought. Like everyone thinks, oh, you double him or you have your best like corner follow the best receiver. Like no, it's a little bit of a different nuanced approach. And Belichick's talked about it. Like, and he is the one guy who's been able to eliminate a team's top target more than anybody. Like we couldn't. I mean, when the Texans would play him with Andre Johnson, he would double and shut him out. Any big receiver, you name it, they were able to phase them out of the game. But give me 1 second. It's transferring to my computer here. I haven't felt like this. Yeah, for real, man. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's kind of why I'm doing this. Is like I'm enjoying every second of this, man. We have game plan on D'Amico's defense versus top receivers. So D'Amico to me is like I would have to look into that, but like it's kind of like a wild card because like it was funny last year in that first Browns regular season game when Cooper was destroying us. He's like, oh, we don't shadow receivers, and then come the playoffs, we shadow the receiver, and then I want to say that Stingley also shadowed DJ Moore for at least a portion of the game Sunday. So I don't know if he's just playing games or he decided to change. So that's a very interesting topic. But the one thing that I admire about D'Amico more than anything is he's young and innovative, and he's not afraid to change anything at any time. And he's talked about that. Like, he is dynamic. Like, he will change to what works. So I'm encouraged in that sense. Forrest, he says he's in Longview, Texas. I wish there was more Texans here, Cowboys country. I feel like a lot of these like outlier Cowboys fans are going to have to convert soon. I think we're two franchises going in the opposite direction, in my opinion. Cowboys, they may struggle to make playoffs, and then after this year, who knows? I think your boy Dr. Dew's in Longview too. Okay, well, I got this. This is exactly right, Brian. Naylor is the one they have to stop, but that depends too on if Addison plays. But shit, right now Naylor is playing better. Let me pull up this Bill Belichick video to explain to y'all how I would like for us to stop. Is this it right here? Oh, that's it. Okay, it's going to be an echo again, so bear with it. But let's do this.
Defenses.
Well, it depends on the team, but I would say, yeah, with the Jets, I mean, you got to try to keep Hall from getting the ball, which is tough because they hand it to him. But, in terms of screen passes and things like that, where they can get him the ball in the passing game, he's a very good receiver. I mean, I would do everything I could to keep it out of his hands.
He's getting to it.
Wilson, you've got a much better chance of keeping it out of his hands because as a receiver, I mean, they can hand him the ball on a jet sweep or something, but there's not going to be very many of those. I would double Wilson and, make sure that he doesn't kill you. And then you look, the rest of your guys got to hold up. When we had a lot of success in, with Revis in 2014, we usually put Revis on the number 2 receiver and double the number 1 receiver. So we took away the number 1 guy with 2 players, but then if they threw to their second guy, they were throwing against Revis. So that was a pretty good matchup for us. And whoever the third guy was, was the third guy. We, I would say didn't care about him, but we didn't care about him. But what happened was, we had one breakout party. We did that against Green Bay. All right, and we doubled the 2 guys there, Cobb and what's his name, Jordy. We doubled those 2 guys, and we said, well, we're going to take our chances on Devontae Adams. He really hasn't done much, and he killed us. He had about 125 yards in that game, and that was his coming out party. Was when we tried to single cover him, and Rodgers found him, and they killed us. So. When they have too many weapons, you can't get everybody. But that was, that's one that, again, that's the greatness of Rodgers, is he finds where you're weak, and he usually can get you. And of course McCarthy too. So, but yeah, that was a long day in Green Bay. Now, luckily the season turned out okay, but that was a long day in Green Bay.
Yeah, so that was, I kind of messed that up. So the ideal game plan, rather than people think you need to lock down the number 1 receiver, you just have Stingley shadow Jefferson. I do not think we should do that. I think we should double cover Jefferson and then have Stingley shadow the number 2, which that depends on Jordan Addison's health. But honestly, even if Jordan Addison is playing the way Naylor is playing, I think I would rather have Stingley shadow Naylor and then leave Addison to be that third guy up to whatever. And then basically what Bill Belichick said, like, it worked pretty much every time, except for the one time when that third receiver they didn't know about happened to be Devontae Adams. So unless their third receiver that we leave there is a superstar receiver we don't know about yet. But then also too, he pointed out it was Aaron Rodgers. So the quarterback has to be privy enough and smart enough to be able to realize what's going on. This is taken away. That's taken away. I'm going to hammer this option every time, which I don't know if Darnold has that. So that's the approach that I would take from a coverage standpoint. But yeah, that's all I got, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to try to make a couple more content clips. There's a couple interviews I've been trying to get to. Yeah, appreciate you guys, and I will see y'all on the internet.